mixed with the usual corporate politics. The mahogany-lined boardroom on the 50th floor had witnessed 30 years of my father's reign as CEO. Family portraits lined the walls. My brother Michael in his CFO suit, my sister Diana as marketing director, and me, well, I was the creative one who needed to find her path. Emma, Dad began, shuffling papers at the head of the table, we need to discuss your future. You're 32. It's time to grow up and get a real job. I adjusted my simple black blazer, hiding a smile as my phone vibrated silently in my pocket. Michael smirked from his leather chair, gold cufflinks catching the morning light. Still doing that online consulting thing? He asked, checking his Rolex. You know, we have an entry-level position in accounting. Diana chimed in, her designer suit immaculate. Or you could start in the mailroom. Learn the business from the ground up. Mom sighed from her corner seat. Darling, we're just worried. Everyone else has made something of themselves. I checked my phone discreetly. The message made my heart race. Final paperwork cleared. Transfer of ownership complete in 10 minutes. Actually, I said, setting my phone face down, I've been quite busy with work. Work? Dad scoffed. Sitting at home with a laptop isn't work. Henderson Industries was built on real business. Mergers, acquisitions, strategy. Speaking of acquisitions, Michael leaned forward. We should discuss the Shadow Corp takeover attempt. They've been buying shares through shell companies. I took a sip of water, hiding another smile. Shadow Corp, my shell company, though they didn't know that yet. They're amateurs, Dad waved his hand dismissively. No real threat to Henderson Industries. My phone buzzed again. The board meeting would start in 30 minutes. Perfect timing. Emma, Dad's voice hardened, this is exactly why you need structure. A real corporate position. You don't understand the complexities of modern business. Diana nodded sympathetically. We all started at the bottom. Well, except Michael, he was gifted. Gifted with Dad's nepotism, you mean? I muttered. What was that? Michael snapped. Nothing, I smiled, checking my watch. Please continue explaining business to me. Dad stood, pacing before the floor-to-ceiling windows. Henderson Industries is my legacy. Built from nothing. 30 years of strategic acquisitions, careful planning. And leveraged buyouts? I suggested innocently. He froze. How do you know about? My phone lit up with the message I'd been waiting for. Congratulations, Madam C. The acquisition is complete. Henderson Industries is now under Shadow Corp control. I stood slowly, smoothing my blazer. Dad, about that real job you mentioned. The boardroom doors burst open. My CFO entered, followed by a team of lawyers. Ms. Henderson, the board is assembled and waiting. What board? Dad demanded. I didn't call a board meeting. I pulled out my tablet, displaying the ownership transfer documents. No, Dad. I did. The color drained from Michael's face as he read the screen. Diana's perfect posture crumbled. Shadow Corp. Dad whispered, finally understanding. That was you. Always has been, I replied, walking to his chair, my chair now. Shall we discuss my new position in the company? The family portrait seemed to watch as the power shifted, 30 years of corporate dynasty changing hands in a single morning. Dad's empire was now mine, and the real work was about to begin. The boardroom erupted into chaos. Michael frantically called his broker while Diana's perfectly manicured fingers trembled as she scrolled through the ownership documents on her tablet. This is impossible, Dad sputtered, his face turning red. You couldn't. Where would you get that kind of capital? I settled into his Umayi chair at the head of the table, enjoying its familiar leather comfort. Remember that silly online consulting business? Turns out cybersecurity consulting for Fortune 500 companies pays quite well. Especially when you're quietly buying their shares through multiple shell companies. Fortune 500. Diana whispered. That's why Google and Microsoft kept asking about you at the charity gala. They weren't asking about me, I smiled. They were asking about Shadow Corp's CEO. The mysterious consultant who'd helped them patch billion-dollar security breaches. My phone buzzed continuously now as news alerts flooded in. Shadow Corp acquires Henderson Industries in surprise takeover. Tech security giant reveals identity. Emma Henderson takes control of family empire. Wall Street stunned as Henderson Industries ownership changes hands. But the board. Michael stammered. They'd never approve. Already did, I replied, pulling up the voting records. While you were busy playing golf with them, I was solving their technology problems. Building trust. Gaining proxy votes. It's amazing how many board members will support you when you've saved their companies from cyber attacks. Dad collapsed into a visitor's chair. For the first time in 30 years, he was just a visitor in his own boardroom. The leveraged buyouts, he said slowly. You knew about all of them. Every single one, I confirmed. Including the questionable ones from the 90s. Amazing what you can find when you understand digital forensics. My CFO cleared his throat. Ma'am, the board is waiting for your inaugural address. And the SEC filing goes public in 5 minutes. SEC filing? Diana's voice cracked. I stood straightening my blazer. Yes. Henderson Industries is going in a new direction. We're merging with Shadow Corp's tech division. Welcome to the digital age. You can't just. Michael began. Can't what? I interrupted. Can't run a company? Can't understand modern business? Can't build something bigger than Dad's legacy? I pulled up more documents on the boardroom screen. Shadow Corp's market cap is 3 times Henderson Industries. This isn't a takeover, it's a rescue. The screens filled with financial projections, showing Henderson Industries' declining market position against tech-savvy competitors. Years of ignored cybersecurity threats. Millions in potential losses from outdated systems. While you were all focused on old-school business, I continued, the world changed. Fortune 500 companies don't just need traditional services anymore. They need digital protection, security, innovation. Dad's hands shook as he read the numbers. All this time, your online work was building an empire right under your noses, I finished. Those entry-level positions you offered me? My junior analysts make more than your vice presidents. My phone buzzed again, stock prices soaring after acquisition announcement. Shadow Corp shares up 40%. Now, I said, gathering my materials, I have a board to address. Michael, Diana, HR will be in touch about your repositioning within the company. Assuming you still want to work here. Work, for you. Diana looked faint. If you qualify, I smiled. Our hiring standards are quite high. Dad, you should stay for the board meeting. You'll want to hear about the changes we're making to my company. The boardroom doors opened to reveal my executive team, young, tech-savvy professionals who made Michael's traditional banking experience look prehistoric. Oh, and Michael? I paused at the door. About starting in the mailroom to learn the business? That might not be a bad idea. For you. I left them there, surrounded by the trappings of their outdated business world, as I walked toward the future I'd built while they weren't watching. The portraits on the wall seemed less imposing now. Soon they'd be replaced with something more modern. Just like the company itself. 3 months later, Henderson Industries, now Henderson Shadow Technologies, was unrecognizable. The stuffy mahogany boardroom had been transformed into a state-of-the-art digital command center. Glass walls displayed real-time cybersecurity metrics, and the old family portraits had been replaced with interactive screens showing global operations. I sat in my redesigned office watching the morning news coverage. Henderson Shadow Tech revolutionizes corporate security. Emma Henderson, the stealth CEO who disrupted her family's legacy. Traditional industries scramble to adapt as Henderson Shadow sets new standard. My assistant entered with the quarterly reports. Your family is here for the shareholders' meeting, Ms. Henderson. How long have they been waiting? 20 minutes. Your brother tried using his old security code twice. I smiled, checking the security feeds. There they were, Dad in an off-the-rack suit. His assets weren't quite what they used to be. Michael without his Rolex and Diana clutching a resume instead of her designer handbag. Send them in, I said, turning to face the city skyline where our new company logo now dominated the financial district. They entered cautiously like visitors in a foreign land. In many ways they were. Quite a change, Dad managed, looking around at the technology that had replaced his precious wood paneling. Change is profitable, I replied, pulling up our first quarter results. Stocks up 180% since the acquisition. Market cap just crossed $50 billion. The cybersecurity division alone is worth more than Henderson Industries was in its prime. Michael shifted uncomfortably. About my application. HR handles all hiring, I cut him off. Though I heard you've been taking coding classes. Smart move. Diana stepped forward. Emma, we were wrong about you. No, I corrected, standing to face them. You were exactly right about me. I wasn't fit for the old Henderson Industries. That's why I built something better. My phone lit up with urgent messages. Asterisk, government contract approved, $2 billion cybersecurity implementation. Asterisk, tech acquisition target identified. Proceed with offering? Asterisk, Shadow Protocol now industry standard, global rollout beginning. The business world changed, I continued. While you were clinging to tradition, I was building the future. Those real jobs you wanted me to take? We've automated most of them. Dad sank into a visitor's chair. I built that company over 30 years. And I transformed it in 3 months, I finished. Because I saw what you didn't. The digital revolution wasn't coming, it was already here. The screens around us filled with data. Cryptocurrency fluctuations, blockchain implementations, quantum encryption protocols. The new language of business that my family had dismissed as tech nonsense. We're launching 10 new products next quarter, I said, pulling up the projections. Revolutionary security systems, AI-driven analytics, quantum-safe encryption. The kind of innovations that make leveraged buyouts look like child's play. And where do we fit in? Michael asked quietly. I turned to face them fully. That depends. Are you ready to learn? Really learn? Because this isn't the company where you get positions through birthright. This is a meritocracy. Diana nodded slowly, her resume crumpling in her hands. I've been studying digital marketing. Good start, I acknowledged. HR will contact you about our training program. Michael, those coding classes might qualify you for a junior analyst position. Dad. He looked up, this man who'd once lectured me about real business. You built something impressive for its time, I said. But times change. You can stay on as an advisor, if you're willing to embrace the future instead of clinging to the past. My phone buzzed again. Time magazine requests interview, the future of corporate leadership. Now, I said, gathering my materials, I have a global product launch to oversee. Feel free to watch from the public viewing area. Maybe you'll learn something about modern business. As they filed out, Dad paused at the door. When did you become this? I smiled, thinking of all those family meetings where they'd dismissed my potential. I was always this, Dad. You just couldn't see it through your mahogany-tinted glasses. The doors closed behind them as my executive team filed in. Young, brilliant minds unencumbered by outdated business models. Right? I said, taking my place at the head of the table. Let's talk about the future. On the screens behind me, Henderson Shadow's stock price ticked upward, each point a vindication of the path I'd chosen. The old portraits were gone, but their absence told a better story than their presence.